Across the Tracks. The story behind the songs, as told by the songwriter. It's time to go. Time to go. Across the Tracks. It's Across the Tracks. And we have a special guest today, Ray Bonneville. Or do I say Ray Bonneville? How do we pronounce it?
In French, it's Ray Bonneville. In English, it's Ray Bonneville.
Ray Bonneville, then we'll go with that.
Yeah.
And we'll go back and forth.
Sure.
First, thanks so much for coming on
Hey,
in.
it's my pleasure, man.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we
Cool.
met down at Tom Wilson's the other day.
We did, which was a great show.
Yeah, it was a great show.
And to be totally clear, we actually met once before. You did a private show at Bellevue Valley Lodge some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There were a bunch of guests there, so and at that time there, it was the record with Sugar and Riley on there, and I had a good little talk about Sugar and Riley.
Oh, Sugar and Riley, yeah, that's on. Is that on Bad Man's Blood? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about that, and we'll get to that song later in this
Okay.
thing because it's got a special place in my heart. So I'm going to indulge myself.
Okay, good.
At the end of that, but I want to start out with where you are right now. And so I've checked out your website, and I see you've taken to blogging. And
Yeah, I've taken to writing stories that are nonfiction so far. I may dabble in fiction, but right now everything I've written has happened to me or around me. You know.
Yes, I read all of the. I think there's 8 or 9 entries now. So it sounds like it's a book, and you're going chapter by chapter. And so the Fog, and then the Fog 2. So I don't know if that's the opening of a potential book.
No. The Fog 1 and Fog 2 is the same story. We just made it into 2 halves because we felt it might have been long, but in retrospect, it's not long.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. Yes, it was. I was terrified for the better part of an hour.
Yeah, I really feel for that young lad that was with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what he was thinking because I didn't have time. I talked to him on the ground, of course, before we left. And by the time we landed, I was so freaked out that I just unloaded his gear and his kill and walked away. Went up to the bar.
Yeah, and terrified his parents, who knew better, but for whatever reason, just let him do what he wanted to do and get on that plane with you.
Yeah. No, really, when I look back on it, it's just one of those things that I'm so glad that it turned out okay.
Indeed. Yeah.
Incredibly so. Because if I hadn't turned my head and looked out the window of the Beaver and saw the railroad tracks, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Well, that's a good teaser for the listener here to go to your website, raybonneville.com.
Yeah, that
go to
story's-
Looking for Minnows and
that's-
read the blog.
Yeah, that story's called Killing Fog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads me into your new single, and I want to talk before we get there about the artwork on there. So the fellow's name who did it is Guy Bedard. Tell me a little bit about the artwork and that beaver plane.
Guy, he's a French fellow, so we call him Guy. And what happened was I don't know how exactly he got a hold of my then manager, Evangeline Elston, who I still work with, but not as a manager, and said, I read Ray's story, and I'd like to send you a painting or a drawing and see what you think. And he sent us that. No, I don't know if he read the story. Actually, I don't know how that happened, but he did contact us, and he sent us that painting that he did especially for the single. And the single is called On the Blind Side, but it's not anything about the Killing Fog story. It has to do with my search for what it was that was making me the way I was throughout my life, concerning the emotional shadow that a lot of people carry, and I call it the blind side. It's the part of you that you can't see. You know, it's like you just can't see it, but it has to do with memories and perhaps traumatic events in your childhood. So the song on the blind side has to do with that. But the artwork, he sent us that and said, would you like to use it? And we said, yeah, we'd like to use it. Because I at the time, I still thought I was going to write this song, The Killing Fog, and I still probably will. But I hadn't yet. And we liked the image of the beaver over the wires and the fog. And
Yeah.
he didn't put enough fog in his painting because it was a lot more than what's in the painting. I mean, I could hardly see, you know. It was really, really hairy.
I tell you, it's a terrifying read, and I recommend it to everybody. The song, and I listened to your music and have for a long time. It sounds to me like it's, to my ears, the most personal song you've written.
Yeah, it definitely
Or
is.
released.
And what, you know, it took me 2 years to write it because I went through many versions of it, and my concern was that there be something there for the listener, because, you know, as a writer, I'm always concerned with the listener. I'm always thinking about the listener, because the song is not for me; it's for the listener. And I don't know if I succeeded with this or not, but the sentiment is there. And when I play it live, I tell folks, well, this is my story, but your story, you can just plug yours in. And I don't know if I succeeded or not.
I think you have. You're a brilliant storyteller in all of your records.
Thank you.
And so when I hear this one, it sounds a little bit different, even the way you put the song together. But again, I connect, like you're saying, as a listener. I certainly connected. But am I reading too much into it? Is this a father-son relationship song?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. So, and in reading, well, we'll talk about that after. Let's listen to the song right now.
Okay, sure.
On the Blind Side.
Where a blade of sunlight falls back in time. I'm a kid with a slingshot and a jackknife. Under the weight of a fear, deedless faith, driving me into a secret, deeper every day, on the blind side, on the blind side, deeper every day on the blind side. While the old man who would need guitar, hoping to tame a reckless heart. It took me down a lonesome two-lane, one for loving, one for turning away. My eyes getting used to the darkness. In time, I see my own likeness. Still a kid, still afraid, still making sure love don't get close enough again to hurt on the blind side, on the blind side, close enough to hurt on the blind side.
When I hear that song and then read that you went to Vietnam, which just blows my mind that a Canadian, a guy born in Quebec, and you spent time later on to 12 or so. I think you moved to Massachusetts as a adolescent.
Yeah, I was born in Hull, or what they call Gatineau, across from Ottawa. You know, on the Quebec side of the Ottawa River, and I was raised in Quebec City and Sainte Foy, which is right next to Quebec City. And at about the age of 12, it was announced to us kids that we were moving to the Boston area where my father had a job, had gotten a job, and we were going to have 1 month to familiarize ourselves with the English language and then start school. So that for me, that was the 8th grade, junior high school, and I was when I was in Quebec, I was always high up in the class as far as grades and whatnot. I was really a good student, and when I got to the States, they took my language barrier they translated my language barrier into someone who can't cut it or something, and they left me there, and so I floundered, and I lost interest, and I started playing guitar and had a band, and got into some trouble, and I was headed for jail if I wasn't going to do something. And my father, reverse psychology, used reverse psychology and told me he didn't think I had the balls to join the Army, and so I one-upped him and joined the Marine Corps, and I was not 17 yet, and when I turned 17, I went to boot camp, and that was that story.
Yeah, and again, it's in Looking for Minnows, and the next thing you're breathing in that air in Vietnam, in a single sentence, boom, and it probably felt that way once you got there.
Yeah,
you must have
it was
been thinking,
unbelievable.
What have I done?
Unbelievably hot and humid. People who have been to the Philippines or that part of the world know what I'm talking about. It's oppressive heat and humidity. You can wipe the sweat off your arm with a towel, and behind it, the sweat beads up.
Wow.
So it's really hot there, in more ways than one.
And in your songwriting, and I'm sure it may have been a source from there's always this tension in your songs. You create great tension between the music, the lyrics. There's oftentimes something very mysterious. So I just want to pick out a song. Bad Man's Blood is one of those songs to me. So it sounds oftentimes to me like a soldier in the forest, just always alert because anything could happen any second, and kind of get that in your music. So there must be some kind of connection of that in a Bad Man's Blood. I use that as an example.
I don't know if there's a connection there between that war and it's a story, and I write characters. There is always some element of me, or of any writer, I think. I could be wrong for some folks, but for me, there's always a little bit of me in the story, and I start out with some degree of truth, but then the truth is really hard to rhyme. So that's where, fictionalized characters come in, or fictionalized parts of the song. In Bad Man's Blood, there's some time traveling going on. The first verse is the character, the kid, he's in the bank, robbing it. And I'm sorry. The first verse, he has left it. He's on his way, trying to get away. He knows he's not going to get away. And then in the second verse, he's in the bank doing the robbery, where his gun goes off, and he takes the clerk out. And then in the third verse, he's back where his father was. And I forgot to mention that the intro to the song, he says, Papa said goodbye through the glass on the prison phone. So he's walking in the footsteps of his father, who is a bank robber or a criminal.
Papa said goodbye to the glass on the prison phone. Mama never cried, just said, boy, you a bad man's son. Under no moon sky, my headlights cut the night on this dark road to nowhere. It's just a matter of time before I have to pay the price for what I've done back there. I am bound for my fate. I got bad man's blood in my veins. I told the teller man, put the money in the bag. My hand was shaking, scared. The shot took me by surprise. I saw the fear in his eyes. I just left him laying there. I am bound for my fate. I got a bad man's blood in my veins. If I was a praying man, I would pray for a friend to help me through this long, long night. They're coming to take me away in the morning come daybreak. Hang my head inside. I am bound for my fate. I got a bad man's blood in my veins. I am bound for my fate. I got a bad man's blood in my veins.
In your experience in Vietnam, and you see this in all kinds of movies, drug use, and then later on the post-traumatic stress disorder that so many of the soldiers suffered.
Yeah.
And then I hear, again, I'm not trying to relate everything to your Vietnam experience, but a lot of the songs are characters again, and there's despair and there's drugs, codeine.
Yeah.
So one of those songs.
Yeah. In Vietnam, I smoked pot and I smoked opium, and I told myself I better not be able to find this stuff when I get home, because I like it too much, and at some point in my life I started eating codeine, and I took it for a number of years, and that song is my character talking to the drug and saying, well, you told me you were my friend, you lied, and the song goes on like that, but it's talking to the drug as if the drug had backstabbed the guy, like double crossed him.
Yeah, it sounds like a face-to-face conversation here.
Yeah.
And you're settling some accounts.
Yeah, and I was in the studio with some guys, some really great guys that played on at King Electric, my latest album, and we were going to play it together, and then I was in the studio with an acoustic guitar, and they said, well, how's it go? And I sang it, and they weren't at their station yet, but we liked the track, so we kept it solo like that. It's stronger, I think, that way, but there's no telling.
Codeine, you came around knowing I was down. You told me you were my friend, but you lied. Codeine, codeine, I let you in slowly, and then again you glowed in me like an ember. Don't go, I said. Codeine, floating like a flood, holding me like you would a child, consoling me. Cody, Cody, I was a fool. You were only in it for the blues. Still I close my eyes, looking for you, Codeine.
Your picking style, the way you do play guitar, it's unusual. You don't actually strum the guitar like
No.
most. I don't even know, when I went through so many of your videos, and like, I don't think he even strums it a single time. It's always picking, and then there's
Well,
percussion.
I do brush it. I brush it with my thumb sometimes. I gave up. I threw away my guitar pick many years ago because I used to be a strummer and a shuffler. In the 70s when I played in bands, I used a pick. But then I joined a little band called the Bluebirds. Later it was called the Earthbirds, with a different incarnation of it. And the guy, Kelly McNish, who was a very strong influence on me and some others, Tim O'Brien, for example, will tell you that he's influenced by Kelly. Kelly's gone now, but he was playing this thumb and index finger style, like John Hurt, Mississippi John Hurt,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we played, Book of White, and we played some stuff like that, And I was just the harmonica player and the background singer, a harmony singer, and I used to look over at him and say, "Man, if I could do that, I wouldn't need him." And so when I left the band, I started playing that way with my thumb and my index finger. I went to Alaska because I figured I could get some gigs in Alaska while I cut my teeth on this style. And it was true. I stayed there for a year, and I played lots of gigs that way. And then I moved to Seattle and continued to play that way. And then over the years, now that's many years ago, it has evolved into this thing that I do that I don't even know what I'm doing. If I was to have to stop and explain it, I don't know if I'd be able to. But it's the thumb and the end. The thumb is the bass player and part of the rhythm section. The index finger is the lead player and also part of the rhythm player. And I have percussion under my feet when I play solo. So I tell the sound guy when I'm sound checking, the feet are not drums. They're not trying to be drums. They're simply adding the sound of wood to my thumb. And I don't ever want any listener's ear to go to my foot to single it out, because then their attention veers away from the song and the lyrics. But that style has evolved now, and I don't know what the heck to call it now.
Yeah.
And I also tell them jokingly that there's only two kinds of music, the kind you like and the kind you don't, whether it be jazz, opera, or anything.
Well, let's listen to some of that right now, and then you can tell me what this song was all about. We're going to listen to Crow John.
Okay.
Shadows on the road across the silver tracks. A murder of crows along the desolate flat. On their feathers, the blood of Crow John. One of their brothers, something gone wrong. Crow John, what you done? What you done, what you done, Crow John? Desperate echoes through the rising fog. Murder of crows, vigilante law. Did they catch you stranded, nowhere to hide? Your cries unanswered till the end of time. Crow John, what you done? What you done, what you done, Crow John? Into the coming storm, they raggedly fly. A dozen or more against the darkening sky. A murder of jokers with laughing eyes. They killed Crow John for who knows why. Crow John, what you done? What you done, what you done, Crow John? Crow John, what you done? What you done, what you done, Crow John?
Okay, give me the story, Crow John.
Well, when I play live, I used to tell the story exactly of how I came to write it, but then I stopped doing that because you can interpret many versions of what it's about. But the way that I did write it was I was visiting my friend Gurf Morlix at his place on Lake Huron, over by Honey Harbor, and he told me this story. He said, "Man, I heard a crow getting killed the other day by other crows." And I said, "Wow, you saw this?" And he goes, "Oh, no, I didn't see it." And I say, "Well, how do you know?" He goes, "Man, you should have heard it." So I went home. I was driving back, and I was thinking about this crow, and I started writing all kinds of stories about food theft or betrayal, or and really none of it was working. So I finally just asked the main character, Crow John, what have you done? What did you do to get yourself killed? And It's a dark song, but it's got a groove in it that makes it less dark. But it is a dark song.
All right, I want to talk about the House of the Rising Sun and New Orleans and your history. And I've had the good fortune of going there several times. We have some very good friends there. As a matter of fact,
I was looking at your T-shirt and I was wanting it. I love T-shirts like that, but because yours says Bayou Boogaloo.
Yeah, the Mid-City Festival that
you
they
know.
have.
I was in a band in Boulder, Colorado, called Gone Johnson, and my friend and guitar player Spencer Boren, he left the band and moved to New Orleans, and so we started going down there.
How old were you at that time?
We see probably let me think. I was in my 20s. But when I went down there, I realized that I needed to immerse myself in that culture, both musical and otherwise. And when I went down there in the 70s, I saw such greats as Professor Longhair, Snooks Eaglin, Ernie Cado, Snooks Eaglin,
Dr. John.
Dr. John. We used to go out on the boat, on the paddle boat during Jazz Fest, and you'd hear, like, in one night, you'd hear Etta James, Dr. John, and Professor Longhair or something, and all this while you're out on the Mississippi River in the hot, humid air, and it was just amazing. And the drummers and the horn players. And so I made it my business to move there. I went down there in the early 1980s after I got back from France, because I lived in Paris for a year. And I realized that my music didn't have what they had down there. It didn't have that take your timeness, that love of the silence between the notes, and the relaxed groove,
Yeah, that space.
And you can't just listen to records you can listen to records and get that, but if you live there, it gets in your blood.
Yeah.
So I lived there for 6.5 some odd years, and played all the time down there. I played uptown, I played downtown, I played all over. I played across Lake Pontchartrain and Mandeville. I played all around there. Jackson. I'd go over to Alabama and play over there. Mobile, in the Mobile area, and that Florida Panhandle, and I'd go up to where they have the all the antebellum homes in Louisiana, but it's right on the river, and it was called the Down Under, or something. It was a bar that was under some cliffs, and the river was right there, and there was a catfish joint next to it.
Yeah, and this is all before you've recorded, obviously.
Yeah,
almost 10 years before.
This is before I recorded. I was drinking all this stuff in, and I was playing that music, but I was not playing it the way I heard it. I was playing it the way I wanted to play it, and so, in retrospect, and consequently, I developed that guitar style over those years, using other people's words, but these were my melodies and it was my groove, and I would interpret the song, And so when I started writing, I had that vehicle. I had that.
Gotcha.
I had that guitar style and that sense of don't tell it all. Let the listener put in their own things, you know.
That's that tension I was talking about, that mystery that I hear in a lot of your music. Have you done a version of House of the Rising Sun?
No.
No?
Well, you know, it's such a famous song that that I stay away from well-known covers like that. When I do a cover, it's usually more obscure. Although I did cover, Hank Williams. You hear the lonesome, I'm so lonesome I could cry. That's a famous song, but I haven't done a lot of covers. I've done a couple of Dylan covers for Red House Records. What? Oh yeah, House of the Rising Sun. Well, that's an idea. I could maybe I'll go home and monkey with that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you play next time, maybe it could just be a song you insert in a live set. Anyway, I don't want to tell you what to do.
No. But it's a really great song, and I always love that song, when Eric Burton and the Animals were an influence on me, as was Roy Orbison and all those cats from that era, Ricky Nelson and Elvis Presley, and that's what I was listening to when I first moved to the United States from Canada. Was listening to those guys, and then of course, the Beatles happened and the British invasion. But I wasn't. I liked the Beatles, and I liked more of their first albums because they were more grooving. They were less. Of course, they're a great band, of course.
Yeah.
But I was attracted to the Kinks and Manfred Mann and those more edgier bands. I love to cross over the mom, but the water's way too high. You see it rained all night, even harder than the night or the night before. Big mud is rising this morning, come knocking on my door. I said, am I double as my double P.I. I love to cross over the mom, but the water's way too high. Forget about your dirty dishes, pretty mama, little sister, keep your head. Stand on your toes, baby brother, don't bother to make your bed. I said, am I double as my double P.I. I'd love to cross over, pretty mama, but the water's way too high. Beautiful wife, a whole lot of dirty water coming down this river, change your life. I said, am I double as my double P.I. I love to cross over, pretty mama, but the water's way too high. I said, am I double as my double P.I. I love to cross over, pretty mama, but the water's way too high.
Well, that was Mississippi we just played. And
well, first of all, did you just play Mississippi?
I did.
That is not my song. That is a song by a guy named Michael Jordan from St. Louis, Missouri.
Wow.
And some people came to one of my shows there and said, have you heard of this guy? And they gave me these CDs that they didn't even have artwork on them. They were just burned CDs. And that song was on there. And,
you covered it.
I covered it, yeah.
Well, there you
That's
go.
what I mean. It's obscure.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
there you
I
go.
just wanted to get that straight.
I'm glad you did.
But he's not around anymore. He got killed after a gig by a drunk driver many years ago.
Wow. And Michael Jordan, sports fans, is not that Michael Jordan.
Not that Michael Jordan, no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, let's get to the Big Easy there. And I was about to say that you have a line there. I'm a blues man. I'm a politician. I'm a shoeshine man. I'm a famous musician. And you do that great little Bob Dylan twang when you sing that, because I do believe Bob Dylan lived in New Orleans.
I don't think he did.
No?
No, he recorded there.
Yeah.
With Daniel Lanois, but I don't know that he lived there.
I'm going to debate you there, because my good friends in New Orleans, when we drive around, they tell me, oh, Brad Pitt lived there.
Oh.
Bob Dylan used to live here. I can't remember that part of town, but you could be right.
And I'm not an authority on where Bob has lived, so it may be so.
Yeah.
But I am influenced by anything that I've ever liked, that I heard that I liked. So, I don't know. I must be influenced to some degree by Bob Dylan, but
you do put that little Dylan, at least in one of the live versions of a video I saw, and it sure sounded like, boy, he just channeled just in that 2 words. But
well, that song, I was watching the news after the storm, Katrina, and it seemed to me that the city was left on its own to fend for itself. They weren't going to help it out. The government wasn't helping it, And as you mentioned, Brad Pitt did go down there and build some homes for people who had lost their homes. So he was there for that period of time. But I just thought, this city probably wants to talk to the world and speak to the world. So, it wasn't very difficult to write, because I closed my eyes and these images from having lived there were all sitting right there in my head. And they just danced in front of my eyes, and I wrote them down. All of those lyrics that are in there, the politician and the shoeshine man and the shotgun house and the uptown street car and all that stuff is stuff that I lived. I lived those. I went to those parades, and I saw those barges, and I all those things are things that were living in my head.
Yeah, the Big Easy is it's such a special place when you travel America, and
no place like it.
Yeah, exactly.
No place like it. I don't care where you go. In the world.
In the world. It is so unique.
Yeah.
It's a great tune. Have you seen that? I saw it in IMAX when we were in New Orleans, and Tab Benoit plays quite a bit of the music in it.
I gave him that record. I played on the Blues Cruise in 2013, and Tab was on the program. And after the cruise, I saw him on the street, and I gave him that record, and I said, "There's a song on here that you might want to cover." And I don't know if he even listened to it, but I did give it to him.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so this documentary, it kind of angers you, really, because it shows you how that really happened, and how we as humans, and just think of ourselves and not about nature, and how all of that happened because the Great Mississippi pours out into the Gulf, and then all these boaters want easy access, and so they carved all these canals through the wetlands.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Lake Pontchartrain and the city of New Orleans lost its first line of defense because all this salt water was coming up.
Yeah, the marsh had been monkeyed with.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's
Yeah,
sad.
that's man. I'm never able to understand the power of man's ego. Regarding many things, it seems like man thinks that it's all there for him or her, and it's not. It's there for all the living creatures, all of them.
You got it. Let's get to this song, I Am the Big Easy. Ray Bonneville has joined us on Across the Tracks.
muddy floor. My daddy was French, my mother Creole. I'm slow and heavy underneath the sun, but I'm more than willing when the night time comes. I'm a well-known street, I'm a marching drum, I'm a dancer, a preacher, a sophisticated bum. I'm a wild Chaptooler, a dice-rolling judge. I'm a barker trying to fool you into a late-night club. I am the Big Easy, being hit by a stone, brought to my knees, have mercy, Lord. I got soul, I got heart, all alone I'm coming out of the dark. I am the Big Easy. I'm a crawfish boil, a funeral parade. I'm a little boy listening to the music play. I'm an old man dancing to the second line beat. I'm a young girl tired of catching Mardi Gras beats. I'm a shotgun house, an uptown street car, a big wheel steamer by a full-loaded barge. I'm a blues band, a politician, a shoeshine man. I'm a famous musician. I am the Big Easy. I've been hit by a stone, brought to my knees, crying mercy, Lord. I got soul, I got heart, all alone I'm coming out of the dark. I am the Big Easy. Levee broke and the water came in. I heard a lot of folks call it dead, but you'd be mistaken if you thought me done. I am the Big Easy, I'm the only one. All my children and all their kin, they go on living like they always been. No matter what happens, won't you count me out? They call me Orleans, I'm the heart of the South. I am the Big Easy, I've been hit by a stone, brought to my knees, crying, have mercy, Lord. And I got soul, and I got heart, all alone I'm coming out of the dark. I am the Big Easy. The Big Easy, been hit by a storm, brought to my knees, have mercy, Lord. I got soul, and I got heart, all alone I'm coming out of the dark. I am the Big Easy. I am the Big Easy.
Yeah, I want to go back to your first record, "Dance with Me." It's
The record On the Main
your first release
is On the Main.
On the Main. That's correct.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Dance
your
with Me
first
is
album.
on it.
Yeah.
I think it's the second song.
There you go.
Yeah.
And your signature sound is already there, and you kind of explained it earlier. You had developed it
Yeah.
already when you went up to Alaska.
Yeah, it's a little melody that is within the chord. It's right under my fingers in the most basic chord. I've been making a living for a very long time with the chords that are on the top of page 1 of book 1. of guitar playing, of Mel
Keep
Bay.
it simple. I love it.
And I've never actually gone beyond that because I haven't felt that I needed to. But that melody was sitting under the A minor chord, the A minor shape. All I had to do was move a couple fingers, and it was right there.
Yeah. So that was your very first album
Yeah,
that you had put out.
1993.
Yeah, and there's horns on this record.
Yeah,
And you've have used horns since then,
not a lot.
but not like that time, right?
Not like that.
Yeah.
No, not like the horns on the Good Times, for example. I love those horns, and I used horns, and I was just really having fun in the studio for the first time in my life. I actually went to a studio in Boulder, Colorado, thinking that I would have stuff to do in there. Like there was this airline pilot that had a little studio on the side, and I said, "Hey, I'd like to come in and record." And I went in there, and he goes, "Okay, we're rolling," and I had nothing. It was so embarrassing. I had nothing.
You went in there with all these ideas.
I
and
went in
drew a
there
blank.
with, I just blanked, and I didn't really have anything. And so that taught me that, when you go in the studio, you got to be prepared.
Look over there. What's that I see? Is that my girl on her way back home? To my eyes this evening, we had a falling out the night before. She said she's gone away. She said, I don't think I'll live here anymore. You don't hear a word I say. I said, please think about the good times we had.
let's go to again on the main, and the VIPs and the Thunderclouds, which is a great name, and that's in one of your entries on your blog there. What songs were you playing with those bands, the VIPs?
We were playing "You Really Got Me," and we were playing "She's Not There" by I'm blanking out.
The Zombies.
Yeah, the Zombies. Yeah, and we were playing a lot of, like, we were playing "Bring It to Jerome" by Manfred Mann. We were playing probably some Elvis Presley. You know, it wasn't an all British band. It wasn't an all British stuff, but we did have, by that time in the VIPs, we had, you know, Beatle boots and sharkskin uniforms and skinny ties, and you know, we rode around in an old ambulance and trying to be cool, you know, 16 years old, 15 years old.
Yeah. I don't know why I connect after having read that, and then I listened to the lyrics of Sugar and Riley, and I wanted to talk about that record because that's the pet nickname I have for my
now I remember you.
My beautiful girl.
I remember that now. Yeah. I remember you telling me that now.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and I have a lot of friends because they think I live the life of Riley because I'm with Sugar, and then when you come out with this Sugar and Riley, I just got a kick out of it. So just give me a little bit of.
Well, again, those are characters that I made up. You know, from being in a hotel room where the walls are thin and you hear the couple next door arguing and then making love and then arguing some more, and then in the mornings everything's hunky dory again, and so, you know, it's, you know, Sugar told Riley. You know, and it goes on like that. Sugar told Riley, I forget the lyric now exactly, but, you know, you drive me crazy. And then Riley comes back, he says, yeah, but, you know, you can be really cold and you can really be mean. But when the morning comes, they were making love again, you know.
Yeah.
And there was this picture of the president of Red House Records wanted me to use this cover, which was a guy with a gun in his hand and a woman and an old mattress behind them, and I wasn't brave enough to use it. I should have, though. But it was a very, you know, it was the kind of picture you'd see on True Detective magazine or something. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sugar and Riley had a lover's fight. Heard him right to the wall last night. Things got said, tears got cried. It came to a head just before midnight. But when the morning came, they were doing alright. Sugar told Riley, you drive me insane. You won't see it my way when your mind is made. Don't get me going, you know what you like. You say you love me, but I wonder sometimes. When the morning came, they were doing alright. Riley told Sugar that might be so. Oh, but you know you can be so cold. You turn away for no reason at all. I wanna love you, but you want me to crawl. When the morning came, they were doing alright. go thinking I won't leave you. Right, I told sugar, you make my blood boil. Why you wanna drive away all our joy? But when the morning came, they were doing alright. When the morning came, they were doing alright. Making love again in the morning light. Making love again in the morning light.
All right. I don't think there are many people, and even fewer musicians, that come from the unique place you come from, where you intimately know Canada and the United States. You've lived large chunks of time
Yeah.
in both countries, and even over in Europe. Like you said, you lived in Paris. And
Yeah.
you've mentioned a bunch of cities.
Yeah.
So you're obviously a rambler. You get around and you're comfortable moving. So my question to you is, as we sit here in 2022, and I haven't traveled in the U.S. a whole lot in the last couple of years, things being what they are, but certainly here in Ontario, the Truth and Reconciliation and the plight of the Native
Yeah.
Canadian and the Indigenous First Nations population. How do you see and read in your travels on both sides of the border how that's all playing out?
Well, I am with the Indigenous people. I'm for them. I just read a book called Blood Brothers about Cochise. It's just it's hard for me to believe that they would not find the value in those cultures. They're just such amazing people, and they're not egotistical. Those folks, they're humble, and the people that abuse them and use them and dismiss them do have big egos, and they're I just think that they're such great people, and for a man to want to put a pipeline through somebody's sacred grounds or anything like that is beyond criminal in my mind, But I'm consider myself a North American. I'm a dual citizen. I'm a North American, and I'm a Canadian, and I'm proud to be a Canadian, and that's why I'm up here.
Yeah, and you've bought a place here in Algoma, in Gully River, and
Yeah.
how did that happen? How do you end up in our neighborhood?
I used to play up here, as you know, for Robin and Ann McIntyre, and in fact, we're going to do a show on October 1st at the LOFT here in town, which is a really nice little venue.
It certainly is.
And I'd come up here and I'd play a show, and I always liked it around here. And then I don't know, maybe 7-8 years ago, I was out in Montana looking for a place to buy to be close to good fly fishing, and I just couldn't find anything I could afford, because a lot of big actors buy places there, and the prices are through the roof, and then I came over here and played Bliss Fest,
Yeah.
in Michigan here, in Petoskey, and I said to Robin and Ann, I think I'm going to come up and could I stay at your place for a couple of days? I'm going to come up here and look around and see, look around. And so I was shown by the real estate people a few places. None of it was speaking to me. And then I was doing my laundry on Northern Ave, across from the metro, and I was going, there's got to be more than what they showed me. So I walked down to the real estate office, which wasn't very far. It's right down the street. And I walked in there and I said, okay, what else you got? And they said, well, we got a few places, but you wouldn't want them. And I said, well, try me. And I saw a couple of places that was true. I didn't want those. But then I saw this place that I have now, and it was really a diamond in the extreme rough. It was really rough. It was full of the guy's stuff. He was deceased. He was a doctor in town here. From all I can gather, he was an eccentric fellow, but the bones of the place were good, and it's right on Lake Superior, on Gooley Bay, and I just fell in love with it. It's the rocks look like British Columbia, the water's beautiful, it's clear. There's a boathouse, and I have a little, maybe 800 or 900 square feet cabin place with a screened-in porch, and I have a little bunkhouse, and it's very modest. I mean, I'm a musician. I couldn't afford anything expensive, but I made it work, and I got it, and I still love being up here.
Yeah, and does it help you write songs there?
That's funny, because I don't get much done there because I'm always looking at the water. I'm really serious. I don't get much done. I mean, I've written a couple songs there, but not like I write in Austin, or I wrote in most Austin, or I had a place in Arkansas. In Cotter, I wrote some songs there. Most of Going by Feel was written there, and in Montreal, of course. I wrote a lot of songs in Montreal, but I don't find myself writing a whole heck of a lot of songs up here, because there's I don't know, something about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, this has been a great conversation. We've listened to some great music. You have singles coming out right now.
Yeah.
You're releasing them a single, and then the album.
Yes.
What will the name of the album be? On the Blind Side?
I don't know yet.
That's still in the works?
Yeah. I never know what the album's called until it's mixed, and then I listen to it, and I see what it wants to be called.
Are all of those songs written already?
Yeah.
The entire album?
Most of them.
They are, eh?
Yeah, like I've got 8 songs in the can.
Cool. Well, we look forward to that record, sir. Thanks for coming on in.
Adrian, it's been really a pleasure. I do a lot of interviews, and this has been a very good one, a really great one. You're really a good conversationalist, and it's a pleasure.
Well, nice of you to say that, and right back at you. This has been Across the Tracks with the great Ray Bonneville. It's time to go. Time to go. Across the Tracks.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's do that. Check out Across the Tracks on this network, available on demand. Hello, folks. This is Ray Bonneville, and you're listening to The Borderline. Don't forget, folks, check out my website, raybonneville.com, where you can find music and stories and lots of other things.